Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to talk about, well, not just Pokemon Go, but I guess a lot of the good, bad, and ugly of technology. This is sort of the movement, right, of our culture, and you have a lot of critiques leveled against it, right? Look how dumb these people are wandering around on their phones and walking into traffic and stuff. And I agree with a lot of the critiques, but I also think that that's just the way things are headed. Now, I think Pokemon Go is really interesting. It sort of blends the dualistic nature of the real world and the digital world, right? Now, I would approach this and say, well, it's a very dualistic view, right? The real world and the digital world, technology and nature. And as we've seen with dualism and binaries and all that, they're illusory, right? They're not real. They're an appearance that helps us organize, helps us function within the world, but fundamentally, dualism is problematic. My latest trend, for better or for worse, is viewing man as an animal. So we're not separate from nature. We're a part of nature. The things we do are a part of nature. Granted, we're destroying the world, but that's the course of nature, right? So technology isn't necessarily less natural, especially it's all made from materials of nature. It's transformed materials. So if you followed me thus far, reality isn't separated between the real world and technology, because reality is essentially the environment which you adapt to, which you interact with. You know, even people who aren't big on the internet and social media and all that still utilize emails. Right now, Pokemon Go takes that and it brings it outside. It does a couple things. One is it blends, it confuses that boundary between the real world and the digital world, which I think points to the problematic of any sort of dualistic view. And it creates two competing messages. I've heard, right, all sorts of stories of kids walking into traffic, walking off of cliffs, issues of like cemeteries and other private property to find these Pokemon. You have two competing messages, right? One is, don't walk into that road, there's cars, zipping by, you're gonna get smashed into. And another message is, oh, go over there, there's a Pokemon. Right now, which one do you listen to? Common sense, we would all sit here and say, oh, well, obviously you wouldn't walk into the cars, right? But if the digital world is more real to you, then you're gonna follow that message and walk out to find that Pokemon, and you're gonna get smashed into by a car because they're not two separate worlds, right? They're intertwined together. I wouldn't look at those people and say, oh my god, they're so stupid, because shouldn't they know better? How dumb is that? From a perspective of before, so much of our lives became digital, that's completely mind-boggling. But I don't think that it's, obviously if it's happening as often it is, then it's something that I think any of us are susceptible to. I also think that something like this, which is really novel, really new, people have certainly done stuff like this before, but it's been gimmicky, it's never taken off. Something that's worked and become so widespread, it's like introducing a new technology. If you look at our culture as a nervous system as a whole, it's introducing something new to the nervous system, and the nervous system freaks out. There's good that happens, right? There's good uses of Pokemon Go, and then there's all the bad stuff that happens because we don't know what to do with it. But over time, stuff like that's going to get figured out, right? I think the same with social media. Even in the same way that people critique Pokemon Go and social media especially, the same critiques are leveled against cars, right? So you can say, well, Facebook devalues the meaning of friendship because all you have to do to become a friend with somebody is click. That's all it takes, as opposed to having to engage in conversation and put yourself out there and maintain a friendship and vulnerability, etc., etc. So because it's so easy, because it's so mindless, it's devalued. But then you can look at the automobiles, and about the time those hit the main consumer market, you had people who were writing critiques against automobiles saying, what's this going to do to our psyches? How is it going to affect our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with other people, our relationship with the environment, right? Which are the same critiques against all technology that's ever come out. So in cars, you look at road rage, right? The way that you look at other people in cars, you don't really look at them as people, you look at them as cars. Obvious destruction of the environment. Somebody even looks at the way that you shut a car door, how you have to slam it shut, right? The cars are violent. And with the same with Facebook, where it's so easy to go 60 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, right? It's just the movement of a foot, even going from manual to automatic, right? Because at least with manual, you kind of feel it. You're a little more in tune with the car, whereas automatic, you know, you can just zip down there with the force. And very few people probably realize the force that they are controlling with such a small movement, because it does not by any means equate, you know, the weight of the car and the speed it's going. Imagine people who going from riding a horse, right, to where you have to like maintain this animal and interact with another living being if you wanted to get somewhere. The car is just like, what are people thinking, right? The same way that we approach technology, social media, internet, Pokemon Go, I'm sure even the printing press, which gives us our holy sacred books. Certainly there couldn't be anything wrong with that, and yet, you know, each piece of technology, as things get easier, there's something lost. There's always something that's lost, and there's a level of meaning that's lost through convenience because we lose touch with some sort of process, some sort of action that probably pertains to what it is to be human. You can look at modern plumbing in the same way. I agree with the critiques that are put up against social media and all these new technologies, but that's just the way things are going, and there's things that's lost. I don't know if it's loss and gain in equal amounts or if it's just change. And it's only lost if you're looking at what's being lost, which is what a lot of people that critique new technology does. Now, you know, it's up to you whether you're into it or not. I don't care for most of it, right? But, you know, I'm not gonna hate on it. Peace.